So I am here with the fantastic Lynn and Flaherty, who wrote the score and the lyrics to Anastasia, which is on Broadway, but many Broadway shows. And I just want to know, like, give us a little bit of the history of Anastasia, because it started off as an animated feature.
Yes.
Right. We were hired by 20th Century Fox in, I think, 1995 or 6-ish to write the score for this animated movie that they were developing, which at the time was called The Music Box. It was a code name.
It was a secret title.
Yes.
That's right.
And so we, over the course of the next few years, we wrote the score. We wrote about 5 or 6 songs.
Actually, we read 30, but 5 or 6 made it into the film.
5 or 6 that made it into the film. That's exactly right.
Okay.
And Journey to the Past got nominated for the Oscar,
Yes.
and it became sort of noticed and became a rather beloved song. But we didn't really realize it until they asked us to do the stage version. And we thought, well, we love that song, we'll put it into the show. And we really didn't realize the reaction that it got from young women who had grown up with the animated movie and loved that song and loved that character. And we didn't know that they now were grown up and wanted a grown-up version of that beloved story that they
I think one of the differences is, when you do a film, it's just up there. You don't really interface with the fans or the audience. It's like in the can. But with a Broadway musical or any theatrical experience, you are there in real time with this audience who's responding to what they're seeing, and you're responding, to their reaction. And it was very moving for both of us to see that reaction.
And amazing. We're like, look, they're screaming and crying, and it was because
they were gasping in a van.
Yeah.
The first 3
songs. They'd go like that. Yeah.
That's fantastic.
It's great.
And you've been writing together for a while, and
just a while.
More than 30 years.
Right. And so, what's the secret to that? What's the secret to because I write with Joseph, and it's like a marriage.
Yes,
it's a relationship.
Yeah.
So
at this point, I call him Neil, and I call my husband Stephen.
Okay, see,
it's really an issue.
Right.
Whenever I show up in my pajamas, that's when we got to stop.
So what's the secret? How do you keep like that energy and that communication?
I think honestly, a lot of it, you have to love writing. You have to love being in a writer's room. I think that's that interesting combination of support and challenge. Where I think you never want to repeat yourself twice, so we're always pushing one another and ourselves personally out of the comfort zone into some place.
Trying to find new ways of working. And I think it's all of that work stuff, and then it's also good personalities. You find somebody that makes you laugh, or who cries at the same time you do, and there's some synergy of emotion or connection that makes it work.
Why is it that you think that live theater is important? I mean, you've made a long career on Broadway. Why is it important?
I think it's about having a dialogue with the audience.
It's with human beings.
With human beings. It's a collective experience, which I find very moving.
It's a communal experience. We have another show running on Broadway as well. Once on this island, it's done in a circle. It's in the round. And it feels like you are in this experience together. And the same thing with Anastasia, where you realize these people have grown up with the movie. Now they're live actors embodying the roles that they loved as animated characters, and it's a whole other experience, and it's somehow much more profound.
And you can definitely go deeper in the theater. We went from 2D to 3D, and whenever you become 3D, just by its very nature, you become much deeper, and we got to explore more and create so much more of a wealth of material for characters that we had loved for 20 years.
Yeah. But theater, just one last thing to your point about why is live theater important, it is a dialogue between human beings, and you are in a room, in a theater, in a darkened theater, hearing a story told, and feeling something and communicating something, and hopefully, when people walk out of the theater, they're talking about something, they're feeling something, and they bring it home with them to discuss. It sort of engenders this whole passionate discourse, which I think we just need so much now.
And I think I'm lucky. It's all I've ever wanted to do. I played my first musical when I was 12. I wrote my first musical when I was 14. This is the only thing I can do. So I'm lucky it worked out.
I can do a lot of other things.
I can't. I do one thing well.
We have a lot of outreach programs at Brothers Two Voices, where we, songwriting programs, working with kids. Can you tell me, and you just kind of alluded to it, What was the moment where you realized that music, that writing lyrics, that somehow dealing with this field was something that you went, that's the moment? Was it a teacher? Was it a song you heard? What was that moment?
Well, for me, just talking about theater, the moment was when I wrote my first song, and it wasn't with Stephen, but it was with another composer in the BNY Musical Theater Workshop, and everybody laughed.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, oh my God, I made them laugh. This is fabulous. And it really struck me as something so joyous to be able to do that. But I've been writing songs since I was about 3.5. I have a tape of myself setting my own words to Frosty the Snowman. So I think I was born a lyricist. There wasn't a moment that created that, I don't think. But
I know for me it was the first live show that I had seen.
Which was?
I went to Catholic school, so the nuns took us to some show that was about Jesus, that was Godspell. It happened to come through my hometown of Pittsburgh, and I was just knocked over by it, and it was so powerful, and I didn't even know what that was, but I knew I wanted to be part of that. I wanted to be writing music, I wanted to be telling stories, and it inspired me, and I shortly thereafter wrote my first show, because I was so knocked out by it.
I remember seeing Fiddler on the Roof was my first Broadway show. It was one of the revivals. And I was in high school at the time, and Bette Midler was in it as the oldest daughter. And I remember being amazed that a story could be told in song. It had not occurred to me, and I thought about it for a long time after, and I find it so moving that, I just saw Sheldon Harnick yesterday and gave him a big kiss, it's just to know him and to sort of, have had that moment of sort of thought about a storytelling form, and now I know the guy who did it, it's really very moving.
Last question. In this world of social media, where everything moves so quickly,
yes.
What advice would you give young writers starting out now? As we live in this moment where, you can look back and look at the work that has led to the moment where you are, right?
Yes.
And they've grown up in an environment where everything happens so fast.
Right.
What advice would you give a young composing team starting out?
I just remember coming to New York, and I was 21 years old, and I knew I wanted to be a composer, and I had like a little bit of change in my pocket from Opryland USA, which was my summer job, and no prospects at all. But I believed if you got up every day and you did your best work, and you somehow got it out there, that someday someone would see it and it would add up. And I think it's the same today. It's just a different way to get your work out.
I think there's also, in this day and age, there's instant gratification.
Sure.
Right when you get, all this feedback and all this stuff, I would say turn off your computer. Take a break from it for 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day, and actually let your mind work, and not your fingers and your, let your mind dream. That's what I would say. We don't have enough dreaming time anymore. And when I was a kid, we just played and we made up stories and acted things out. And I don't know that, and I kept doing that my whole life, really, obviously. And I don't know that people have enough quiet time to really allow their brains to be inspired.
And imagination to be limitless.
Yes.
I think you're absolutely right. I think that's what we've lost in modern age.
We've lost it. Even little children are on little computers, and it's like, let them dream,
and
let them play, let them imagine.
And there's something about looking up from a screen and you see a human being, and you connect with that human being. And I think on the larger scale, I think that's what live theater is, and what live performance is. And music is always about a larger issue than a particular song or a role. And it's powerful, it can heal, and it's like good to get that face out that phone.
Yes, I agree. That's perfect. Thank you. Thank you for your work. Thank you.
Thank you.
For what they said. Ragtime, Once on This Island. Up to Anastasia, you just have been such a wonderful team of people, just human beings and also writers that contribute to the theater and keep this art form moving forward and alive. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And look, you have the whole next generation, or they're going to be at your
I know.
feet.
So teach them well. Teach them well.
I tried. Thank you.
I bet you're
Thanks.
wonderful.